thanks for tuning in tonight. We tried this at a little bit different time of day just to see how it would go. I'm gonna pull this up on my phone, see if it is live streaming. From that it is, so yeah, we'll be good. So yeah, we are here with Lucas, who is the owner of Modern Touches, who they do remodel work, addition work. So yeah, we appreciate the time of him taking, just his evening away from the family and little one, and being able to jump on here, just give us all some good insight of remodel work, adding value to your home, DIY stuff. And as we know, and the more we're cooped up inside, the more we're kind of now getting into a routine and probably looking at things in our homes and we're like, oh, well, we should do this or we should do that. And some of those projects are great things that you could probably take on by yourself, but other things probably not a great idea. And so we'll hit on some of those items, and then Lucas just strictly here from a kind of give us his insight, knowledge, and a resource into that space. So we are going to. So how this will work is I'm just gonna share my screen with all of you. Lucas, do you have the Facebook opened up?
Yep.
Okay. So everybody, you guys can post questions on there because I'm going to be sharing my screen. Lucas is going to be keeping track of questions. If you have any questions, definitely post in the comment section, and we can definitely get those answered for you throughout this. And if you have any comments to make, things that you guys have been doing or have already done to your home, have any questions for me or Lucas, definitely throw them in there and we'll get them answered. He'll be watching those throughout. But otherwise, we'll go ahead and get started on this. Let's share my screen here. So there we are, I think. Now I got to move this because we can't see. What up? There we go. All right. So yeah, we're here today just to talk about kind of the most valuable home projects, things that you can be doing around your home to help increase your value throughout the time. We just moved into our home, so sorry about the bare shelves in the background of me. We didn't get those all. They're not all decorated yet, so should probably find someone to come do that. Anyway, so yeah, most valuable projects. So what we'll cover today. Why you might want to increase the value of your home. We're going to move this thing, it's gets in the way all the time. Why it's important to increase value of your home to gain equity. So I'll kind of cover that, and then Lucas is going to cover 2 through 5. So just minor DIY projects, current home trends, average cost of projects in the metro. So he'll give you kind of insight of what things cost to do. A lot of people underestimate, I guess, the cost of some items. From like Lucas and I were talking about earlier with HDTV and all that stuff, people think they can do things for nickel on a dollar, and it's not always that way. So, and then which projects you should do on your own, and I think that could be a fun one of things that Lucas has seen over the years that people maybe tried to do something that didn't work out like they thought it was going to, and so things to watch out for, and then just which projects build home equity on that. So like I said, if you're just tuning in now, we're on Facebook, we're live on Facebook with this. If you have any questions, definitely just post on there, and we will get to those. There is a delay between where we're at talking and when you guys post. So if we don't get to you right away, that's probably why. So moving on, I'm gonna keep moving this thing, I guess. But so why increase the value of your home? Obviously, it's kind of makes sense. Obviously, as you live in your home, you want to be building equity in there. It's one point of home ownership. And so just being able to do things to your home that are going to get you the best bang for your buck. One thing I deal with a lot on the listing side of things is I'll go into people's homes and they will have done a whole bunch of work to it, spent tons of money on remodel work and thinking it's going to increase their value of their home that amount. and really it doesn't, and it's not even close. So just because you think it might add value doesn't mean it's going to, or just because you think it's something that you're going to enjoy doesn't mean that everybody else is going to enjoy it. A swimming pool is a prime example of that. But so there's other things like that. And so a lot of times I meet with sellers prior to them doing work to their home to get it ready for listing, because I can kind of tell them, yeah, do this, don't do that, spend your money here, don't spend your money there. And that's a huge resource to them, so they're not putting their money in the wrong places. And so, however, on the flip side of that, if you plan on being there for a long time and you're just doing it because you want it that way, then that's, yeah, I mean, definitely do it still. Just don't always think it's going to bring you a ton of equity and increase the value of your home by a ton in that circumstance. So this is just kind of has a little bit to do with what we're talking about now, just with equity and appreciation, but just a couple of slides we just threw in here. Just home appreciation, Iowa appreciation year over year, kind of what they're forecasting is a 5.5% appreciation moving forward. Obviously with the pandemic going on right now, that could slow things down a little bit, but they still think year over year, that's going to be still pretty steady on that appreciation there. And then annual home price appreciation. So a lot of people, we covered this a little bit in our last one that we did last week on this webinar, but a lot of people are thinking, oh man, how can we're going towards another bubble, and we've had high appreciation for so long, and the bubble's got to burst at some time. Well, one, that's really not the case. As you can see here, from 2000 to 2005, the 6 years leading up to the housing crash, I mean, these numbers are astonishing, the appreciation you've seen there. The last 6 years, we've been at 4.45, 5, 6, 4, 4. So, I mean, we've been pretty modest. I mean, obviously we've been appreciating each year, but that's good, but not at ridiculous levels. So it's no indication that we're leading to another 2008 where we were there with the high appreciations that we were at there. So yeah, the benefits of growing equity. Number one, move up opportunity. Obviously, if you have the more equity you have in your home, the more equity you have to put towards a new house. So the next house you buy, if you're looking to move up, then you now have more down payment money you can put down on that when you go to sell. Gain in seller profit. So some people, if you're reaching retirement, some people would rather just take that money and put it towards something else, put it towards their retirement. You can refinance. And then bottom line, if you're a current homeowner, you may have more equity than you realize. Right now, I mean, the statistics are pretty high. Yesterday we had a call that I think I think the average equity somebody has in their home right now is like 54% equity in their home, which is pretty high. I mean, meaning between what they owe the bank and what they could sell it for is about 54%. So I mean, that's pretty good when most people buy homes right now with only 20% down, or not even that, even 5% down. So having 54%. So there's a lot of equity that people have in their homes compared to 2008 too, where people didn't really even have the money to be buying homes. So didn't have any equity in the home because they couldn't really afford it. And so that's just another thing too, benefits there. So that's enough with me rambling. So now we'll move to Lucas. Once again, Lucas, and Modern Touches. He's known Lucas for quite some time. We don't get to connect always like we would probably like to, but it's just great to have him on and be able to go over this stuff. So he's going to just kind of talk about minor DIY projects that you guys at home can be doing. And then as he's talking, I'm going to try to pull up the Facebook feed and see if any of you have questions. Definitely stop us, or I'll be looking at those, and you can we can answer any questions that you guys have. So go ahead, take the floor.
Thanks, Ethan. Thanks for having me, and look forward to assisting wherever I can be tonight. again, I own Modern Touches. I started my business in 2010, and there's kind of a lot of different things that you guys can do from a do-it-yourself kind of project. There's some other projects that we'll talk about later that definitely we don't recommend you tackling on your own. We understand the economy. We understand, people are trying to save money, but sometimes it doesn't always work out in the best of ways when you try to cut corners. So some minor things, exterior stuff is not super expensive. We see a lot of people that try to remodel, their brand, this nice kitchen, but they have a bad roof. Don't spend your money on the kitchen. Spend your money on the roof. Get the outside done. Get it weather tight. I know it's hard to spend money on something that isn't there, that you're using, and it's functional, but it's extremely functional. It's your umbrella to the house. And we see a lot of houses that get damaged through just exterior neglect. An easy kind of, I guess my first minor DIY project would be in the spring and in the winter, take a 5-gallon bucket, fill it full of water, and dump it down your sump pit. A lot of sump pumps fail because they never ran. You've never had water in them, and then all of a sudden, boom! Like last year north of Ankeny, they got just hammered with rain, and a lot of basements got flooded. And I think a lot of that was because the sump pumps didn't work, or they were froze up, or gunk stuck in them, or just shorted out. So that's kind of a thing you could do right now is throw 5 gallons in there, or a couple 5-gallon buckets. Just make sure it runs good. If it doesn't, now's the time to get a hold of a plumber and get it changed out. A lot of times you don't even need a plumber to swap that out. Just unscrew a couple little screws and swap the new pump over, and you're good to go. Plug it in. Another great exterior project, just make sure your downspouts are away from the house. That's another kind of water issue. If a lot of people don't have basically the ground protectors, where they'll start just water pours in and it can back flood into the house. Some people don't, they don't even look, and they have their downspouts that are disconnected, and that water's just dumping right down the foundation wall and can definitely cause a lot of issues. Another big one is egress window wells. We see this a lot on the remodeling side, where they just fill up. They fill up with leaves, they fill up with toys, they fill up with just dirt, and just a whole bunch of different foreign debris. And what you really need is about 3 to 4 inches below your windowsill to be completely free and clear of any debris. We've seen a lot of basement cases where the water goes in there and there's blockage, the tiles are blocked, or sometimes there's no tile, and they can just fill up, and water's going to find its path of least resistance, which typically is through the window. And that's where you can start to see some of that damage. So that's kind of the exterior stuff. Landscaping is another good piece of it. If you're willing to put in some labor, there's a lot of landscaping is very expensive. So a lot of the nurseries here in town, we use Miller Nursery. I guess I'll give them a little shout out. They're in Johnston, maybe about 10 blocks east of the Hy-Vee there in Johnston, and they have amazing products from yearling, small stuff to full grown trees, which is kind of just a different level of how you want to, how mature do you want your landscaping to be. And typically in the nurseries, they're very cost effective. I bought a autumn maple blaze tree last year from them. It was I think a 3-year tree for $250 delivered and planted. I mean, that you just can't beat that. So a lot of little things from that perspective. The landscaping side, if you're willing to put in the extra labor, it's definitely something that can help increase value. And if you're trying to sell the home, I think the first big thing that a lot of people look at, and Ethan can probably back this, is that it's first impression. First impression's everything. And, if you have a pink front door that just doesn't fit in with your the rest of the front of the house, I mean, paint the
I've seen
front
some
door.
pretty cool pink front doors, but usually they don't fit in.
Our neighbor had one, and I think it sold like 2 days after they painted it gray. So it was on the market for like 6 months. But curb appeal is everything. Weeds.
People will fall in love or fall out of love the second they pull up to a home half the time by the look of it.
Yeah, it has to. Most people, I mean, they're looking kind of at a lot of different factors, but that's really the first factor that they're going to look at is the curb appeal. Does it look enjoyable to come to every day from work? Interior kind of DIY stuff. Go to Sherwin-Williams, go to a box store, pick up some paints, paint brushes, paint an accent wall, repaint walls. A lot of the newer homes, doesn't really matter necessarily the age or cost or price point. A lot of builders, they just go on a white wall. And so a lot of homeowners don't paint the walls. Real estate kind of story is I had a townhouse in East Side, just south of Altoona. And, when you're trying to sell a townhome, you're competing against other townhomes. And typically those townhomes are all the same. So how do you separate yourself? And it's really kind of the staging of things. It's it's those accent little pieces. It's the little decorative art stuff that just really kind of makes them feel like they're at home if you're trying to sell the place. And I think that goes to townhomes or condos or lofts or even houses as well. So the other kind of little bit more expensive projects inside would be like countertop updates, also doing backsplash updates. A lot of starter homes don't tend to have tile backsplashes. A lot of
if you throw a backsplash in a $200,000 house, how much people just perceive that as or even a
high end
$150,000 house. This perception is a lot better. Same thing with granite countertops. You throw granite or quartz in a house, and it's now all of a sudden, it's a whole different feel, which is great.
Yeah. And honestly, a lot of people think, you need to hire a guy like me to come in and do your countertops. Now, if you're completely scared and don't want to chance it or don't have the time, we definitely can do that. But it's not hard to just, go over to say CKF in Urbandale and say, okay, I want Cambria countertops. Really, the only thing at that point, you need to find a plumber that can swap out the faucet and the sink. A lot of the backsplashes now come in, a sheet mosaic that has a sticky, backed adhesive that you can pretty much do the backsplash on your own. Typically from counter height to the top of the bottom side of the upper cabinets is 18 inches. So, you can get those sheets in 12 inches. So just 12-inch sheet plus another 6-inch sheet, center it top to bottom, and then you can kind of fill the top and the bottom gap with a matching, caulking or grouting. And it's just something that you can literally do in 2 or 3 hours. It's very quick. Under cabinet lighting is another kind of DIY project. A lot of the box stores are starting to sell, more of the do-it-yourself kits, which are a lot more convenient. And I think what's cool about them is they come with remotes, and you can kind of change the colors. So if you want to kind of change the mood a little bit, you can turn them from bright stark white to a low red or low blue. If you're watching a movie in the living room and you just want some accent lighting, or maybe you have 2 or 3 kids and they tend to get up in the middle of the night and need the extra lighting. So a lot of different things you can do with that. So those are kind of the main kind of do-it-yourself projects. Flooring is another, not super hard, but a little bit more above your typical. Sometimes depending on what you have, flooring wise, there's height issues. Sometimes if you go from carpet to a luxury vinyl tile, your base trim is going to be up higher. So you're going to have to do some sort of shoe molding, or sometimes it's just too high to cover and you have to just take it off and move it down. or just take it off and replace it. And then the last, probably biggest DIY project that a lot of people are doing is refacing, resurfacing cabinets. A lot of cabinets out there are white, and they may paint their islands gray or blue, or we've seen some reds and greens.
Cabinets are pretty popular.
It's probably one of the biggest trends in kitchens. And then, you know, a lot of homes still have oak. You know, to pull all your oak out is expensive. You know, it's where do you stop? Where do you start and stop? And when we're dealing with oak, you can go to our Facebook page. We have, I think maybe 2 or 3 months ago, we posted a picture of a client had all oak, you know, kitchen cabinets, fireplace, mantles, trim. We went in, painted basically all the woodwork, put some different stone on a fireplace, and it completely changed everything. And I think that was like maybe a $20,000 project that, you know, looks like an $80,000 project.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, good. Do you have any, just if people, like, if you're going to reface cabinets, because I've seen some refacing of cabinets that they go from oak to white and they look good, and then they look some that are just like, you should have just let them oak.
Yeah.
Do you have any
I mean,
tips to that? I mean, anything that people need to make sure that they're doing if they do?
A lot of it's just the quality of the cabinets. I mean, do the cabinets truly give you the function that you're trying to gain? You know, are they sturdy enough? I mean, do they make sense from a bones perspective? Because, you know, once you put granite countertops on, you're pretty much done, unless you're tearing granite back out and redoing countertops, which, you know, I think the average granite cost in a kitchen, you know, is anywhere from $4,000 to $6,000. And, you know, it doesn't seem like a lot in the whole project side of things, but, you know, still $4,000 to $6,000.
But someone who's just wanting to do some minor
might make more sense.
Okay.
Yeah. Because there's, you know, different products that you can buy. You can buy rollout aftermarket, you know, cabinet products that, you know, might help the function side of it. But that's kind of the deciding factors, you know, is it sturdy enough and does it give me the function that I need? If it does, then don't spend the money on cabinets. I mean, cabinets can cost $15,000, and if you're just replacing something to replace it just to get a different color, you know, you can paint and reface for a lot less than that. So
yeah, because there's a lot of oak cabinets out there that are honestly higher quality than what, I mean, new construction put in there. I mean, they're real wood. They're higher quality stuff. And so, but getting them to look, it's amazing how many times I'll go into homes that have like these amazing cabinets that are probably like, I mean, back when they were put in, they're probably like high end, and you can tell they're like super heavy duty, solid, and all that stuff. But then to get a buyer to buy into that without them being white is a whole different thing.
Yeah, and it's I get it. I see both sides of it. You know, I can walk into that one house that most consumers would go, ew, you know, gross. This is going to take a fortune to overhaul. And I see it from my side of it where, wow, you could throw 15 grand at this house and make it look like a new home. Yes, you're still gonna have oak cabinets, but you know, it's all relative. Do you want to buy a new house and spend 500,000 or 600,000, or do you want to buy a $200,000 house and put 50,000 in it? Or, you know, we have clients that buy $200,000-300,000 houses and put $200,000 or $300,000 in it. You know, it's all relative on your needs.
Yep. Hey, we do have a question here too, from Rob. If you paint or replace the cabinets in the kitchen, should you also paint or replace the bathroom vanities?
So one of the things, you know, Rob, we call scope creep. When you start remodeling, it's like, where do you start and stop? You know, the beauty of, you know, bathrooms versus kitchens is they're two totally different spaces. So, you know, if it's a budget thing, you can wait, you know, it's not a big deal. But again, I think it just comes back to the budget and the function side of it. whether you need to replace it because they're shot, or, we've taken vanities that were shot and completely refaced them for, under, $800, which sounds expensive, but then you go look at a nice cabinet through Birch, which is an Iowa cabinet company, and you're looking at $2,500 for the same thing. So it's kind of a case-by-case scenario.
Okay, thanks. All right, should we move on to the next one?
Sure.
All right, that was good info. So yeah, just want to get your input on current home trends, kind of what you're seeing if you're going in and doing remodels, doing additions, kind of what are you seeing for the top? Yeah, what are you seeing for current trends out there? And obviously I can jump into since I'm in plenty of homes, but would love to get your
Sure.
first.
Yeah. Kind of, we mentioned it earlier with kitchens, we're seeing two-tone cabinets. With two-tone cabinets, you can also do two-tone countertops. You can do, different color top than the island. A lot of kitchens that we see sometimes go to a solid color in the back part of the kitchen, and then for the island they'll do some really cool artsy piece that has veins and stuff running through it, which is pretty cool too. That's really the biggest trends there. They're starting to get more into the graphite appliances, which is kind of cool. The newest, biggest trend though in appliances is white and brass, which if done right, it can look really, really neat. Not necessarily my cup of tea, but to each their own. Bathrooms, believe it or not, are going dark. There's the trend for 2020 is a lot of blacks in bathrooms, and it doesn't have to be black vanity, black toilets, kind of back to where they, the 60s and 70s, they had, blue toilets and pink tubs and stuff, but black accent walls, wallpapers coming back in, believe it or not. There's some really cool wall textures that a lot of commercial firms are using, and offices that a lot of people are starting to bring into the home to give a wall a cool wave look that could be cost effective. Barnwood's still a heavy trend. Barn doors are a heavy trend. So I would say those are kind of the top 3 or 4 trends that we're seeing right now.
I will tell you, if you have kids, boys who are 5 and 7 years old, we put a black vanity in theirs. So we built a house. They have a black vanity in theirs. And I can tell you what, there is toothpaste. You can see toothpaste all over. It's like they took a paintbrush and just like whipped white paint at it. I'm like, guys, come on. Like, we should take that back. Let's get you a white vanity next time. So just a heads up on that. But no, I think, yeah, the two-tone thing is definitely cool. Obviously, shiplap is something that was in, I would say, I feel that kind of, I wouldn't say moving out. I think
we're still doing it, but it's not as,
the abundance of shiplap is not as much. Yeah, I think just obviously the farmhouse trends, all that kind of stuff that people see, but well, good. No, appreciate you sharing that. So the one thing going into that, as I was talking about farmhouse, and which leads me to HGTV, everything you feel like I see on there is all farmhouse, and it costs $0, and people who don't have real jobs can somehow buy and remodel these $3 million houses. So go through kind of some of those average costs. So if someone wants to put in, you already kind of talked about countertops, what the average countertop is, but like repainting, flooring, I mean, some of those average costs out there, what do you think?
Yeah, and
look at for those.
Basically, so U.S. consumers, they put a report out on, everything, right? Products, cars, food, you name it. They also do what they call cost versus value reporting on remodeling. This is a report that anybody can download. Just Google cost versus value 2020, and you can pull this up. I believe you got to put in your information and email and all that. So I'm sure they spam you with other stuff, but as soon as you do that, they do send you, it's about a 10-page report. And it's really cool because it kind of talks about the actual project itself and what it means. And you know, I think what's difficult for homeowners to understand is, you know, when they have you know, contractors come out and they say, well, an average cost for a kitchen is, you know, actually I'll look it up here. Major kitchen remodel for Polk County. Now this was 2018. Apologize, I don't have the 2020 here. Is $63,629. The recoup on that is about 51%. Now, what does that get you? That's kind of the beauty of the report. The report goes through and kind of talks about, you know, what that includes, and that's, you know, new floors, new cabinets, hard surface countertops, appliance packages, backsplash, lighting, you know, drywall painting, demo, everything. And what's interesting is you can take that same kitchen and do that same kitchen for 20,000 by painting and, you know, doing some of those minor updates. And then you can take that same kitchen and take a wall out to open up the space to the living room and get into the 70, 80 range real quick. You know, appliances alone, you know, can start as little as 3,000 or 4,000, but can also go as high as, you know, $20,000 just for a stove. We also understand that not everybody's going to buy a $20,000 stove, but construction is not like, say, buying a car. When you buy a car, you get to see it, drive it, test it. You understand every option that you get, and they give you that price out the door. In our worlds, we have to try and guess what you want and try to put a price to it so that we're not, you know, way over, so we're losing business, but we're not way under and we're making him feel like we're trying to nickel and dime. That's where, you know, I think we'll maybe touch base on this later, but that's where we recommend, you know, working with somebody that can help you design the project so you can get down to the nitty gritty. Typically what we would call a hall bath. Now some masters are like this, but they say the typical hall bath is like your 5x7 or 6x8 room. That's going to be, you know, typically a 48-inch countertop, single sink, toilet, a tub, and a fiberglass surround. Those rooms can range anywhere from 8,000 to, believe it or not, as high as 30,000. Again, it just kind of depends on what you put into it. Based on the average, they're saying the average is about 14 to 15,000. Let's see what else. Other projects, basements. Basements kind of another tricky piece. You can, you know, the typical 1-bedroom living room, you know, 3/4 bath. They say runs anywhere from 25 to 35 bucks a square foot, which typically can equate to, you know, 30,000, maybe 40,000 on average for a basement finish, depending on the size. You start throwing in fireplaces. You know, you can do electric fireplaces. They're very cost effective and get the job done. And you can also go to those same, you know, linear gas fireplaces that are going to cost, you know, 5 times more. Plus there's venting and, you know, running gas lines and all that. And then the other big kind of piece of the basements is if you have enough room for it, and you go to a bar, kind of a bar theater area mixture, that's where kind of things can add up. But typically in, I think Des Moines.
What would you say on that note? I guess that might be a tricky one. I was gonna say, to add a wet bar into a basement, what do you think that typically the cost of that is? $3,000, but I guess that if it's already done, then it's okay. Where's the plumbing? How do we get the there and all
when
that?
it's, if there's plumbing, if there's not, is it we kind of have 2 bars. So we have what we call a bar back, which is strictly like 3 or 4 cabinets and a refrigerator. And yeah, you can do those for $3,000 or $4,000 or $5,000. When you get into a bar that has a full sit up, you know, cabinets with glass, you know, you can, you know, get into that 20,000 real quick. And then, you know, again, it's as high as you really want to go. Obviously, the more custom you go, the more time it takes to figure it out. So there's cost for that. But it's not uncommon to spend 30 or 40 grand on a bar. I mean, if you think about it, a bar is really a kitchen without a slide-in range, right? You have your refrigerator, you have a microwave, you have a dishwasher, sink, faucet, disposal, maybe a kegerator, some other appliance or wine, system. But you still have sometimes about the same amount of cabinets and counter space as you do in a typical kitchen.
Yep. Gotcha. Well, good. No, I appreciate that. And yeah, I think definitely check out that. What was that website again?
Cost versus value. Just Google cost versus value construction. You should find it.
Yeah, so that's good. So yeah, so now let's talk on. We've kind of hit on some DIY stuff, some stuff that you could probably tackle by yourself.
Yeah,
Give us a story or maybe two of
yeah.
you've gone into a home that someone's maybe failed to do the DIY correctly. Or
Yeah, I think I've got a few pictures. Again, we have a Facebook page. Just search for Modern Touches. Go to the photos. I think I have a book out there that has kind of some stuff that we've seen in the past. But we tore a bathroom out in Urbandale, and the homeowner wanted some additional lights. They hired a contractor that they felt was cheaper, and they were trying to save money. Everybody else seemed to be $10,000 higher, so they went with this company. And typically, in a bathroom, you're going to have one or two outlets, for blow dryers and night lights and stuff like that. But they added a jacuzzi tub to this master suite. So what they did is they fed off that one electrical outlet to another outlet by where the tub was, and wired one of those orange extension cords. They literally cut the cord, wired the extension cord up to the tub, and then plugged that orange cord into a daisy chained outlet. They said they filled it full of water and turned it on, and it started, and just a split second later, it just quit. And so they, hired us to come in and kind of figure things out. And of course, we got into it and found that. So I think there's a picture. They actually, outside of that, I think there was 2 or 3 other leads that they spun out of that one just to get other outlets in the bathroom, and they didn't even use electrical tape. It was painter's tape they used. It was pretty bad.
Yeah, so electrical is one of those things that.
Yeah, and typically,
a great thing to do. Try to do yourself.
And moral of the story there, I guess the question is, do you use a licensed electrician? Are you pulling permits? A lot of homeowners don't like to pull permits, but on the opposite side of it, people think that, okay, I have this 2,000 square foot house with an unfinished basement, and my taxes are already $7,000 a year. So if I finish that much square footage downstairs, my tax is going to be 14,000. It's not. That's not how it works. It's very, very minimal. Maybe $100 a year type of deal. I think the misconception there is that inspectors are bad. They're going to add all this tax money. The other thing that can actually happen, we've seen this. I've got some mortgage background. Is if they come to your home and appraise your house and say, okay, it's worth $400,000. But we noticed that there was no permit pulled on the basement. The banks can actually take that value out and completely put you upside down in a sell situation. So it's not worth not getting a permit. The city inspectors are there to make sure that we as contractors are doing what is correct. It's really kind of a safety net. Typical permit fees are typically less than $500. So when you're doing a $60,000 kitchen, $500 is nothing. Bathrooms are typically $100, $150. So I could go on and on about permits and how that works, but a lot of times we get into just finish type work. Drywall is really a finish trade. Trim carpentry, laying tile. Some things that are in our industry, it's not that hard to just frame a wall. But if that wall is not plumb and square, you're just going to have issues with trim, and so it's really trying to ask those right questions.
Yeah, and that's one thing I get a lot, and I think a lot of people overlook is drywall finish work. Just mudding, taping, texturing a wall. I mean, it makes a big difference if you have someone who try to do that themselves, where you walk down to it. Most of the time it's in the basement. You'll be upstairs and it'll be fine. And the second you walk down the stairs, it's like someone took a spray can of just whatever texture and just sprayed it.
Yeah.
And I mean, it makes a big difference to the look of the home. And like you said, most people think of drywall as it is what it is. It'll get painted over.
Or it's easy to texture.
Yeah.
Let a finisher come in. If you want to hang the drywall, you want to paint the drywall, that's fine. There are finishers.
They might curse you out because you did a terrible job of hanging it, but
there are finishers that will come in and just finish and give you that nice, clean finish that you have upstairs. That's another turn off. That we'll see in homes is, oh my gosh, you could definitely tell this one was done by, somebody that's not in this trade. But again, it's kind of to each their own, and we understand people are trying to save money and do it themselves, but you can still do a lot of that yourself. But again, that finish side of it, so that it looks really done, really professional.
Yeah.
Plumbing's another big one. It kind of depends on what you're trying to do, but for the most part, we have a lot of homeowners that'll try to tile, they'll do tile, and they're like, we've done tile before, we can do our tile shower. I won't mention retail names, but a lot of the flooring stores around town, they'll do tile showers, and they typically start at $8,000 to $9,000 just in the labor. So people assume, well, gosh, I can lay tile. I did my brother's, bathroom floor, I can lay tile. But there's a lot that goes into it. There's a certain way to waterproof it. There's rubber membranes. We've walked into $800,000-900,000 houses that have $100,000 bathroom remodels, and they're leaking, and we have to tear these $30,000 and $40,000 showers out. It's literally like homes on HGTV. It's crazy what we see in our market, but it happens. It's really unfortunate, but it happens.
Yeah. What else, as far as, any other things that you see from DIY people try to do? Talk us through I get it all the time. Well, could we take this wall down? What is your number one recommendation if someone wants to remove a wall? Usually my recommendation is don't do it until you talk to a structural engineer or some sort of engineer who knows it. Otherwise, what is your recommendation for people who are wanting to open up walls?
We are probably one of the few companies, I would say, that do a lot of walls, a lot of structural work. We can try and have our best guess at if it's bearing or not based on, United building codes and how homes are built. We can look at, into the basement or sometimes in the attic and, see signs of things that would tell us that, yes, it's definitely bearing or not. What ultimately has to happen is the drywall has to be peeled back. Once that's peeled back, then we can make that assessment of yes or no. Typically, it's never a matter of if the wall can come out. It's a matter of how it's going to work from a beam perspective.
How much you spend on a beam to make the structure?
And that's a part of it. You can take a wall out and have a header and use a wooden beam and spend less than $3,000 to do it. But sometimes, people want to do flush beams, so there is no header, and it's, ceilings is straight across, just like a brand new home. You can do that. It's just more time. It's definitely involves structural engineering at that point. Getting into steel beams, steel beams can be pretty pricey. Let alone the cost just to put them in, because you have to have, special equipment to get them into the home and have the bodies to be able to move. 2,000 pounds or 3,000 pounds in a beam. So definitely don't start taking walls out. We have
Don't just take
done,
sledgehammers and start busting things down.
we went to a project in Urbandale where a demo crew took a load bearing wall out and dropped the roof probably about 8 inches. Just a bad scenario all around. It cost the homeowner a fortune. They didn't have insurance. I mean, it was just a bad deal. We have done, and we do everything from small projects to large projects. We have no problem with a client calling and saying, hey, we need to get this wall out. Okay, we'll do the demo, we'll do the drywall, we'll do the beam, we'll do the footings, we'll do all the engineering. It's X amount of dollars, and then let the homeowner finish their kitchen remodel. So that for us is fun because they're quick, they're easy, and you're hiring a professional. It's permitted. It's done correctly. Our framers are not just framing walls. I mean, they've framed $1 million houses with crazy, structural framing. So to take a wall out is typically not a matter of if, it's really just a matter of how much.
Yeah, gotcha. No, that's good. Appreciate you running through that. And then, this one, I don't know who's taking this. I think this might be me, but next we just want to talk about kind of which projects build the most equity. So as we'll go through this, I think we've kind of already hit on some of them, but just wanted to go through what we see on a real estate side, what Lucas might see on a remodel side as well, and then obviously having a kind of a real estate background as well might help. But which projects build the most equity? So as we go through some of these, this actually comes out of it's called KCM, but they're all sourced here. But one of the big things is new roofing. So NAR and NARIHEE are the sources on this one, but the research they did actually had 107% ROI on new roofing put on a home. I can tell you multiple times where an interior of a home looks really, really nice, and then we have a home inspection done, find out that the roof needs repaired. And I mean, when I'm walking through stuff with clients all the time, I'm telling them the stuff to fix on the inside is minimal cost of what it's going to cost for new roof, new HVAC, hot water heater, structure. I mean, all that kind of stuff gets a lot more out of hand than painting a wall or repainting cabinets or putting in countertops, stuff like that. So, but yeah, new roofing was on there, which actually I'm kind of surprised at, to be honest. I didn't think it'd be on there. New wood flooring. So Lucas kind of hit on this, but just updating flooring. So going from a laminate to even a vinyl, and even, I mean, flooring nowadays, it's not expensive, but the difference between floor or carpet and like engineered hardwood or an LVP, a luxury vinyl plank, I mean, really, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, Lucas, but the cost difference is not a ton.
It's pretty close to the same. A good,
The labor might be a little bit more, but if you're doing it yourself, it's probably, I don't know, I think it's easier to probably lay hardware or hard to plank than it is carpet.
Yeah, carpet's a little challenging. Typically we see an allowance that we would give for a really nice carpet with a really good pad is going to be in that $5 square foot, install range.
Yeah.
On the luxury vinyl plank side, or the tile, luxury vinyl tiles, typically, that same price point is like your high end of that product installed. Even some of the $2 and $3 square foot stuff is come a long way in the last 3 to 5 years. It's pretty awesome stuff.
Yeah, so doing things like that can make a big difference of just transforming a home. And I mean, there's $500,000, $800,000 houses that have luxury vinyl plank in them that aren't, I mean, they don't use real hardwood. And I mean, there's vinyl products out there now, and even there's laminate products nowadays that look really, really nice. And a lot of people use them even in custom built homes. So, so new hardwood floors, or new flooring in general. Minor bathroom remodel, replacing tub, tile, even throwing just, I mean, even if you still have a glass or a fiberglass tub, adding some tile on the surround part of it. Once again, making sure that's waterproofed and tight is a big thing. And then even fixtures on just throughout a house, not even just on a bathroom remodel, but going throughout the home and switching out fixtures as far as going from brass and even like door handles, plumbing fixtures, all that kind of stuff. It's not, I wouldn't say it's super cheap. You're not gonna spend $20 on it, but that's something that you can do, or you can have someone do, electrician come in and do, or someone like Lucas come in and just switch out stuff like that. And that's gonna bring, I mean, someone walks in, you have updated electrical fixtures, plumbing fixtures, doorknobs, you're getting rid of all the brass and putting on, whether it's black or satin nickel or well, now even gold and all sorts of stuff. So it's amazing how things make a comeback, huh? But
Yeah, I don't think it'll be here next year though.
yeah. But the good thing is if you're trying to sell, that's something that's not very expensive. You can swap it out, and people can swap it out later down the road for not too much. But yeah, fixtures is a big thing that I see and stuff. But yeah, so minor bathroom remodel, garage door replacements. That is not a garage door. I don't know what that is, why that looks like that. That was a picture of a garage door. But anyway, garage door replacements, just adding carriage style garage doors onto things that are older homes. But yeah, it's amazing how much just a garage door can do to a curb appeal. Kind of going back to the landscaping we were talking about. Being able just to have that first impression on a home is a big deal. A lot of times you have front load garage. A lot of people see the garage the second they pull up to a home, and that's what they pull up to when they're going to look at homes, and that's what you pull up to as a homeowner every day. And so having something that you enjoy to pull up to is a big deal, and just helps with return on investment a lot from an equity standpoint.
Right.
HVAC replacement. So just your furnace, AC, having those where they're obviously energy efficient, and I mean, you got to go back quite a ways nowadays not to have a energy efficient furnace or something, but there's still some out there. But yeah, just making them so people aren't scared that they're gonna have to put in $15,000 into their HVAC system the second they move in is one thing, and just from obviously a energy efficiency standpoint, if you plan on being on your home for a long time, having something that's, I mean, you'd be wasting money a lot of the time just by the HVAC systems you have and that you're trying to run and whatnot. So once again, Source NAR there, KCM, minor kitchen remodel. So, I mean, even just anything from changing out sinks. I don't know why all of a sudden I'm not able to see pictures. Sorry, that was just fine earlier. Now I don't have any pictures. But anyway, things like, once again, we talked about switching out plumbing fixtures, switching out kitchen sinks, doing things like that. And like Lucas said earlier, even countertops. I mean, they don't have to be I mean, I wouldn't do it myself. I'd hire someone like Lucas to come do it. But some people may be able to do that themselves and be able to save some money on it and whatnot. Appliances, obviously, the bigger things, switching just to stainless steel appliances. Repainting cabinets, obviously, that's a big thing that a lot of people do now. I would just say if you do that, make sure you do it right, because like I said before, I come in a lot of the times and look at homes and I'm like, yeah, you probably would have been better off just leaving those cabinets alone and not trying to do what you just did. But the two-tone cabinets, like we talked about, even just trying to update it, going with local trends. And once again, it all plays a difference in what you're trying to accomplish. If it's for your long-term, hey, I want to be happy through this, or I want to do this so in a year to 2 years I can sell it, that's a different conversation. So deck additions, I feel like a lot of people now, this is just a 76% ROI, but I mean, there's a lot of times that I show homes and they have too small of a deck. I feel like a lot more people are going outside or want to entertain outdoors. And so having, and Lucas, you can probably pitch in on this, how many, if you do deck remodel or deck additions or patios, I feel like bigger is better now in that world.
Yeah. Yeah, there's not much more to go, just another few feet, especially with all the stuff that's going on, around the world today, the pandemic stuff, COVID-19, and a lot more people are, even after all this is hopefully over with, they're going to probably be a little bit more cognizant of, going out and I think you'll see a lot more people, we'll see a lot more people wanting to do those deck additions and, entertaining spaces that are on the outside.
Yeah, I mean, people that I think there'll be a lot of people that they won't, unfortunately, may not be going out to eat as much and want to, host people more at their place, smaller groups of people, or but want to be spending more time outdoors and whatnot. So, deck additions, new vinyl siding. Obviously, vinyl is one of the cheaper products out there. Obviously, if Hardy plank, but all goes back to the curb appeal, having a fresh look, and not having siding that looks like it's deteriorating. But as you can see, I'm going to go back. I mean, there are only 3 of these top ones in 2020 that actually had a positive ROI, or above 100% ROI, meaning that they got back what they were put into it. And so a lot of the times, I mean, a lot of the stuff that people are doing to their homes, they're not getting, I mean, you're not going to get a lot of the money back out of it. I mean, one of the big things that I tell my clients is, well, we don't want to look at necessarily what is going to make you the most money off of this, but what is going to help the saleability and what's going to make it actually sell for X amount. And that's a whole different thing than, well, if I update this kitchen, it costs me $20,000. Well, I expect to get 25,000 out of it. Well, 25,000 more out of it. So are you going to, or are you just going to be able to sell it in the first month compared to 6 months from now? And which time value of money. So we just got a question here. Vinyl versus Hardy plank siding. Can you weigh in on your opinion on that one?
Yeah, a lot of it's a cost thing, but from a maintenance perspective, obviously, nothing's ever maintenance free, but they push vinyl as maintenance free. Every year it can get a little dirty, so it can fade. Mowing, weed eating, you can throw a rock and it can eat through the siding pretty easily. Hardy, on the other hand, is going to take that damage, but it's a painted surface, so you have to maintain that every 3 to 5 years, depending on where you live. Hardy offers, and I believe LP offers also, but Hardy for sure offers a pre-painted product that comes with a 15-year warranty. So that's another positive that you can do with them.
What is the price difference? I mean, from what I'm aware of, it's about say to call it a 1,600 square foot ranch, 1,500 square foot ranch, you're probably a $8,000 to $10,000 difference from vinyl to Hardy.
Yeah, probably. Plus another, the painting side depends on what you do. Obviously, the pre-painted stuff's a little more expensive, but it kind of cuts away from the painting costs. But a lot of it depends on who you ask. It's like Ford versus Chevy. Some people say the pre-painted stuff is better than a painter going out and painting it out in the out in the wild, per se, out in all the elements. I kind of prefer it that way. You don't get as many color selections, obviously, when it's I think there's like I don't know, just a little over a dozen colors. So that's the other kind of thing you got to look at. But both good products, just kind of depends on what you're trying to go after.
Yep. So yeah, that's kind of those. So I was just going to run through one of the other things. If you hang it with me real quick, I was going to pull up this. So this was actually from 2018. which was just some other, I think a lot of them are the same, but some other infographics. So from 2018, they had bathroom remodels, obviously, kitchen remodel, and then upgraded landscaping as number 2. So we kind of went back to that, but I think landscaping is one of those things that, yeah, I mean, it can be labor intensive, but if you're willing to put in that, I think it can definitely spruce up a home a lot by adding flowers, bushes, trees, all that kind of stuff. Once again, curb appeal is huge when it comes to resale and value of your home. And then this exterior improvement. So even painting the front door, I wouldn't say necessarily wild color, like bright pink or anything like that. But I mean, there's times where you have orange doors or yellow or blue, or I mean, just making something sets your home apart that ties in well, obviously, with your home and the style and stuff like that. Shutters, having new shutters on a place instead of faded. I mean, shutters fade most of the time with the vinyl ones or painted ones too, and so making sure those are up to snuff and looking good as well makes a big difference on there. Yeah, and then this kind of just I just thought this was interesting going back in some of the different years as we kind of went on, just some of the different things. But this was different. No, it's the same one. Yeah, stone too. That's one thing I have. Sorry, I'm gonna switch back to. I don't know about you, but one thing I've seen too is with like old mantles, fireplace mantles. I mean, usually a fireplace is a centerpiece on a wall or a centerpiece of a home. And so even just redoing that, I know in a home that we used to own, we just took off, it was like the black 6x6 tile around it with oak mantle. And we just took that down. We took stone veneer and we just put that up all the way to the ceiling. And it took some time, but I mean, we did it ourselves and it was fairly simple. And then the look of it, and we repainted the walls, and the look just made it look like a whole different house.
Sure.
And stuff like that. So yeah, anybody have any questions? So once again, Lucas, Modern Touches, we really appreciate him coming on today. Hopefully you guys gained something from this. If you guys have any questions, you can definitely ask them now through Facebook Live. Just post your questions on the comment section there. And then, yeah, if you have questions about specifically your home and what you can do to increase the value of it, if you are thinking about buying or selling here in the next coming year, 2 years, want to do some just some remodel stuff right now, some DIY projects, and would like to know kind of what is going to bring you the most value, what you shouldn't spend money on, happy to do a Zoom call with you or a virtual tour, or if you're open to it, come by your place and check it out and let you know that too. And then obviously Lucas, reach out to him for different ideas as far as like he said, he does anything from smaller projects to larger projects, and doesn't even have to really complete the whole entire thing like you talked about earlier. Just being able to help you open up a wall, make sure that stuff's done right, and let you do the finished stuff is something he's always willing to do too. So my contact info is there, and you guys can reach me there if you have questions. And then also here's Lucas's website, Facebook, email, and phone number. So definitely reach out to him. Once again, Lucas, it's fun having you today. Thanks for taking the time away from your family.
Thanks for
jump on here.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you bet. And yeah, guys, everyone who's watching, thanks for tuning in, and hopefully you got something out of today. And this will be up obviously on our Facebook from here on, and so definitely go back and rewatch it if you have any questions, and I can also send you the slides to this as well. So yeah, have a great rest of your night. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll hopefully talk to you guys soon.